back in the kitchen, everybody. This is your boy, Mark, the Mad Chef. And if you watched the last video, then you would have learned that not only did we create a taco sauce that not only rivals Taco Bell's mild sauce, but it was deemed and ranked as better than Taco Bell sauce. So what would be more fitting than to one-up Taco Bell once more by recreating a menu favorite? And tonight we're going to be doing our take on the 5-layer burrito. And we're going to try to make it the best it's ever possibly been. And we're also going to make our very own nacho cheese. That's right, stay tuned. And we're also going to try to do this Weeknight Gourmet style, because the last couple times I tried to do this, I exceeded that boundary by about 5 to 10 minutes. And for those of you that don't know, Weeknight Gourmet means you can complete this meal from start to finish within 35 minutes. We're going to try to make that happen tonight. And also, to quell any other questions that might be rising up at this point, no, I don't really have anything against Taco Bell. I just cook and talk. Will I eat Taco Bell again? More than likely. Will it be at my location? Probably not, because they can't get my order right. Ever. Taco Bell, please do better. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the race against the clock has already begun, so what I have in this bowl is 2 1/4 pounds of 80/20 ground beef, and what we're going to do now is season it with my homemade Mexican seasoning. And if you don't know how to make this, there will be a link in the description and a card floating around here. Don't really have time to explain this, so let's go ahead and get this started. So what I'm going to do is add this small batches at a time, making sure everything gets mixed in evenly, and after all that is done and all of our beef is seasoned, I'll meet you at the stove where all the magic happens. Alright, so this next part is pretty much common sense. In a nice sized pan over medium-high heat, we're going to go ahead and start browning off and searing our Mexican seasoned ground beef. Once our meat is about halfway done cooking, we're going to go ahead and start warming up our refried beans. And I'm pretty much just using some store-brand fat-free refried beans. You can honestly use whatever kind you like. You can even chef this up even more and make yours from scratch, but that wouldn't be very Weeknight Gourmet of you. Keep in mind, we're trying to do this in 35 minutes or less with common ingredients, so I'll see you again when it's time to discuss our nacho cheese. All right, so both our ground beef and refried beans are done and cooked to perfection, and we still have almost 15 minutes on the clock, which means we're making incredibly good time. So we need to move on to the cheese sauce, which is honestly the part where I feel like I need to walk you guys through this. All right, so what I just added to this medium sauce pot over medium heat, everything's going to be on medium, all right, was just 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And we're going to melt that down real quick. And if you haven't guessed it already, we are making a roux. All right, and now that all of our lovely unsalted butter is melted, we're going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and we're going to get that whisked up and fully incorporated. And we're just going to cook this out for about 45 seconds. All right, and now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. All right, so we want it thick, but we don't want it to be to where we can't work it and or drizzle it. So we're going to be continually adding moisture to this recipe. So little bits at a time, I'm going to add in 1 cup of milk. Very gradually. We want to start thinning this up a little bit. So pro tip, keep your gallon of milk handy, because we might need more to continue thinning this up. And once we've kind of loosened everything up a little bit and it's starting to become a little more workable, we're going to add in our Taco Bell inspired seasonings. And if you're anything like me, you use an outrageously sized bowl to contain, you know, very minimal seasoning. All right, but in my defense, I just literally got done recording the last video before jumping into this video. So your boy's been productive, and honestly, sometimes the cost of being productive is counterproductive. That didn't come out nearly as good as I thought it would. All right, anyhow, in that bowl was 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. And now we're just going to keep adding milk in gradually, making sure we keep this loose. Loosey-goosey. Alright, it's time to start adding in slowly the emergency cow juice. Alright, and now we gotta talk cheese. What I'm going to be using tonight is going to be 1 1/4 cups or 10 ounces of shredded mild cheddar. Now, ideally, what you're going to want is American cheese in a block and grate it, or Velveeta will work. And honestly, the ideal portion size would be about 5 ounces of each. So we're going to slowly add our shredded cheddar to this mix to make sure maximum melting occurs without becoming too thick. Little bits at a time. And if you start noticing your sauce start to seize up, then we start adding more milk. And once all of your shredded cheese bits dissolve, we're going to add some more to it. Alright, so we just added just a touch more milk, just to loosen things up a little bit. You want it thick, but you need to be able to spread it freely. And if you're wondering why the nacho cheese doesn't have exactly the atomic yellow color you're used to, and that's because we use real cheese. Normally you would blend this with a good melting cheese such as American or Velveeta, which provides that artificial yellow color. I want to give it this a quick taste. Hot damn, that tastes like nacho cheese. Holy crap. I'm just going to loosen this up a little bit with a little more milk. Oh yeah, okay, this is cool. Alright. Make sure that gets evenly distributed and heated up. That's kind of what we're looking for there. And now, with about 5 minutes left on the clock, it's time for assembly. Okay, in order to know what to do next, we need to figure out what a Taco Bell 5-layer burrito is comprised of. According to their website, it starts with a layer of nacho cheese, followed by ground beef, shredded cheese, refried beans, and then sour cream. So we're going to replace that layer of sour cream with our homemade Taco Bell sauce because we don't believe in wrecking our tacos and burritos with sour cream. So let's go ahead and start off with a nice layer of our homemade nacho cheese. We need to be judicious with the amount that we put on here. A little actually goes a long way because if we put too much on this thing, it could cause a couple of bad things to happen. Either it will not roll properly, or worse, when we heat this sucker up and toast it in the pan, everything's going to fall out while it's toasting or leak out, and then you're going to have a burrito catastrophe. So next thing we're going to do is add a layer of our shredded cheese on top. This might seem weird, but cheese is a topping, and everything else you add after this is going to get closer to the bottom. And I don't know if you guys have paid attention to Taco Bell's burritos, but the beans are always at the bottom. So the next thing we're going to add is a nice thin layer of our homemade Taco Bell taco sauce, replacing the sour cream element. This acidity is going to break through all these rich flavors and add a nice little kick to this burrito. We will be needing this. All right, the next thing on is going to be our beautifully seasoned ground beef, which we're going to put a nice little mound on and then push gently from side to side, giving us a full coverage for our burrito. Now, this next step is completely optional, but I like to shake a little bit of this dried cilantro leaf on here to provide a little bit of vibrant flavor and some herbaceousness to all these very rich components. All right, and the last thing on is our final component, which is our refried beans. And obviously, from the look of it, I am fighting these beans and clearly not winning. All right, and it's time for the roll. And we're going to do what we always do when we roll our burritos. Fold in the sides, tuck in our corners, pull back, hold our breath like our life depends on it while rolling. This was a little messy, so I want to have to re-roll this sucker before it hits the pan, and I'll see you guys there. So all I did was place our freshly re-rolled burrito in the center of a large skillet over medium heat. And all we're going to do now is toast this burrito 3 minutes per each side. Once we have achieved maximum sear on both sides, the only thing left to do is to plate it up for an exciting reveal. All right, and this is the final product. I did manage to put it together a little bit better before it got into the pan. It did start to fall apart and ooze out while it was in the pan. It doesn't cook quite as cleanly as the other burritos I made. But let's see if it'll hold up to that money shot. We're going to do a cross section here. Oh yeah, that worked fine. This is a 5-layer burrito. But how does it taste? That tastes like Taco Bell. You got all that nice, spicy, creamy nacho cheese. I think I had a little too much bean in there, but it didn't come out quite like I wanted it to. And then you got the seasoned ground beef. A little acidity and a little burn coming from that homemade Taco Bell sauce. All right, for me, that took about 42 minutes from start to finish. But also remember that I was recording during this. I had to fight the camera angles, get all my little supplies together in between, and then just kind of generally run around. But you guys could probably finish this in 35 minutes or less because you're not going to be recording this, or at least I hope not. But if you do happen to use my recipes and post them again online, give me a shout out. I'd like to see what you would do with them, or if you just use them at all. Until next time, this is your boy Mark, and I'll see you in the next video.